Good morning, dear students. Welcome back. Today we are going to read an important poem prescribed in your syllabus, and the name of the poem is A Legend of the Northland. It is a ballad. What does this ballad mean? We'll talk about it, but firstly, let's have a look at the author. It is written by Phoebe Cary, who was born in the year 1820 on a farm in Hamilton County, Ohio. She was one of the 9 children, very close to older sister Rhonda, who encouraged her first attempts at poetry. The village, surrounding farms and houses of her youth became the Clove Mook memorialized in her short fiction. Both sisters were given little formal education and are considered self-made writers. Raised in a Universalist household, had liberal beliefs, she died in the year 1871 at her home due to exhaustion. Now, let me give you a brief introduction of this poem. What does legend mean? Yes, it means a traditional story, sometimes popularly regarded as historical but not authenticated. For example, the legend of King Arthur. The Northland is a polar region and it is a very cold region, covered with snow. The poem is set in the backdrop of Scotland, which is near the northern tip of the United Kingdom. Mythological stories may not relate to realities, but they always carry some good messages with them, and that is why the poet is narrating a story. As I shared, it's a ballad. A ballad is a poem narrating a story in short stanzas. Ballads are a part of folk culture or popular culture and are passed on orally from one generation to the next. Now, let's have a look at the text and let's understand it. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. In the region around the North Pole, the duration of the day is very less because its position is such that the sun's rays reach for a very less time. The poet says that the duration of the night time is so long that the people cannot sleep them through. So they refers to the people who live in this region. If they go to bed, take a few hours of sleep, and then they wake up, it is still night time. Where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bear's cubs in their funny furry cloths. The Northland region experiences severe cold conditions. It is a snowy area. The reindeer is an animal which is found in this polar region. People tie the reindeers to sledges and then the reindeers pull the sledges. He adds that the children look like young ones of a bear because they wear funny looking cloths made of fur, which is like the furry skin of a bear. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe it's true. And yet, you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. They refers to the parents or elders and them refers to the children or the younger generation. The elders of the Northland region tell a strange and interesting story to the younger generation. The poet says that he doesn't think that the story is true, but if he tells the story to the reader, maybe the reader could learn a lesson from it the story gives an important message. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it, preaching, just as he did, you know. The story is about Saint Peter. When Saint Peter used to live in the world and went around giving religious lectures to the people just like all saints do, then an incident happened. So here Saint Peter is an apostle of Christ, follower of Jesus Christ. And preaching, I hope you all understand, it means to give a religious talk. He came to the door of a cottage in traveling round the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. Hearth is the fireplace where you do cooking. So when Saint Peter was moving around the world giving religious lectures to the people, he reached the door of a cottage where a small woman was making cakes. She was baking the cakes in the fireplace. Stanza 6. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. Faint means to be weak. So as Saint Peter had not eaten anything the entire day, he was very hungry and was feeling weak. So he went to this woman who was baking cakes, and he asked for one cake out of the many cakes that she had baked. Okay, so she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. The woman was very selfish. She did not give cake from her store. Instead, she started making a very small cake for Saint Peter. She did not want to share her things. But when she put the cake for baking, she looked at it and thought that this cake was too big to be given to someone. So she gave up this idea of giving that cake to Saint Peter, knowing that he was very hungry and he had asked for it. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one. But it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. Kneaded means to make dough from flour. The little woman thought that the cake was too big to be given away. So she started making another smaller cake. When she looked at that cake, she again felt that it was as big as the previous one. Again, she was not ready to give this smaller cake to Saint Peter. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer. But she could not part with that. Scrap means a small amount. The third time, she took a very small amount of dough and rolled it. The poet says that she rolled and rolled to lay emphasis on the fact that she rolled the dough and made it very thin like a wafer and baked it. But she was so greedy that she could not give that thin piece of bread to the saint. For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. The woman reasoned that when she ate the cakes, she felt that they were very small, but if she had to give them to someone, she felt that they were too big to be given away. She put all the cakes on the shelf of her kitchen and she did not give any cake to Saint Peter. And that is not justified in any case. When someone is hungry and someone is asking for a favor from you, you should always consider that person. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. Provoke means cause to get angry. Saint Peter became angry. He was very hungry. He was feeling very weak, and the selfish woman was not ready to give him even a small cake. This behavior of the greedy woman angered the saint. So you need to be generous towards others. This is what we learn. And he said, you are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm. Dwell means to live. So Saint Peter cursed the woman and said that she was very selfish. She did not deserve to live like a human being. He added that God had given her food, shelter, fire to keep warm, but she had become selfish for all the resources she had. She did not want to share them with anybody. So if you have resources and if you can help someone, nothing like that. You should always step forward to help others, especially those who are needy. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard, dry wood. Saint Peter cursed the woman that hence she would become a bird because she did not deserve the human form. She shall become a bird, and just like birds build their houses by boring into the wood and collect very little food by working hard the entire day, similarly, she would also work hard in the dry wood all day and get little food and make a small place for herself to live in. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. Yes, as soon as Saint Peter cursed the woman, she did not get a chance to speak for herself, because that very moment she flew up to the roof, through the chimney, and flew out in the form of a bird. Saint Peter's curse had converted the woman into a bird. So look how she suffered. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same. But all the rest of her clothes were burned, black as a coal in the flame. Scarlet means brilliant red color. When the woman turned into a bird, at that time she was wearing a red colored cap on her head. This cap was there on the bird's head also, but the woman's remaining clothes had burned and turned black in color, just like coal. Stanza 16, the last one. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. She's still suffering because of the mistake she made long time back. So people who live in the countryside, even the small children who go to school, seen this kind of bird in the woods. They see that she stays there all day and keeps on digging the wood with her beak to collect her food. Whenever any child sees this kind of bird, then his elders tell them this story. They say that the bird used to be a woman earlier. She was very greedy, and so she was cursed by Saint Peter and turned into a bird. They get a teaching that they should not be greedy. Wow. It really gives us a strong message. Now let's have a look at the literary devices used in the poem. First of all, let's talk about rhyme scheme. It's ABCB. It means the last word of the second line rhymes with the last word of the fourth line. That is why it is ABCB, because the last word of the first line is not rhyming with the last word of the third line, so it's ABCB. Then you can also find many examples of alliteration. Yes, it's the repetition of a consonant sound in two or more close words. So if you look stanza 1, that, they, them, through, the sound is repeating. Same in stanza 2 also, the sound is repeating. Then look, like, funny, furry are all examples of alliteration. In stanza 3 also you find examples of alliteration. They, them, yet, you, learn, lesson, tell, tale, too. So you can see that Y, L and T sound are repeating in these lines. Same in stanza 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 and 13 you find examples of alliteration. Repetition. It means any word or sentence is repeated to lay emphasis on it, right? So if you look at stanza 1, away word is repeated. In stanza 9, rolled word is repeated, and stanza 13 and 16, boring word has been repeated. So these are examples of repetition. Then we have simile, which means comparison using like or as. Stanza 2, the children look like bear's cubs. Yes, children are compared to bear's cubs. In stanza 9, baked it thin as a wafer, where cake is compared to a wafer. In stanza 15, cloths were burned black as a coal. The color of the burned cloths is compared to that of coal. So these were some of the poetic devices used in this poem. Now let's look at the theme of the poem, Legend of the Northland. The poem is based on the theme that greed is a grave sin. Greedy people do not deserve the blessings and the comforts of human life. Human beings should thus acquire the quality of kindness, fellow feeling, and empathy. The little woman's greed stopped her from sharing even her smallest cake with hungry Saint Peter, thus earning his wrath. So, undoubtedly, this poem delivers a strong message. And I hope you all gain something from this poem, because each chapter teaches us something really important. It's all up to us how we take that and how we acquire that, right? So this was all for this poem, A Legend of the Northland. Thank you so much.